So the funniest thing just happened to me. Here I am making a video talking about how I'm going to run a 62-mile loop with these Martian wheels, and it's really not all about the efficiency. I mean, when you think about it, these wheels, they're open wheels. They're not like closed off, like you know, having covers on them, so you get super efficiency. So as I'm putting the intro here, all of a sudden this woman comes up to me and she says, "What are you doing?" So here we are back at it after the Martian wheels have been changed on the car. Go ahead.
Can I ask you what you're doing?
And I said, "Well, you know, I'm making a video for YouTube." And she goes, "Well, why are you doing that?" And I said, "Well, I'm just, you know, I had bought new wheels, these Martian wheels, and she's looking at me like, "Why are you?" And then she goes, "Oh my goodness, I thought that was my car. I thought you were filming my car." And meanwhile, she's in a Model 3 over there, and her husband comes up to her. They were from Springfield, Mass. And he says to her, "Honey, that's not our car. Leave the guy alone." It's just, you can't make this stuff up. It's too funny. Hello and welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today what I'm going to be doing is swapping my wheels. That's right, I've got the T-Sportline 20-inch turbine wheels for the Model S, and they've got Michelin Pilot Sport All season tires that are on the car. And what I'm doing is I'm swapping. I've bought a set of Martian wheels, the MW05s in the staggered formation 19-inch wheels. So I'm real excited to see how those are going to look on my car. I like them a lot better. I'll be putting up these T-Sportlines, this whole set for sale at a certain point here pretty soon. But I'm curious about the efficiency gain. And look what just pulled in here. This is not something you see every day here. Definitely not an EV, but a piece of history right there. And sort of an interesting time to have that piece of history lined up against all these Teslas over here that are supercharging right now. So the rules of the game today are pretty simple. What we're going to be doing is charging up my Model S somewhere over there, and we're going to be taking it up to 80%. And all the tires are at 40 pounds, which is, I'm not sure if that's the exact, it's tough to say if that's manufacturer spec because these are the T-Sportline wheels, but they're at 40 PSI. And what I'm going to be doing is charging the car up to 80%, and then I'm going to run a 60-mile loop, somewhere around 60 miles. And what I'm going to be doing is personally swapping my wheels for the T-Sportlines with the MW05s, and then I'm going to come back to this station afterwards with the same car with the MW05s. I'm going to charge it back up to 80%. I'm going to run the test, run the same exact loop, just to try and keep it as close to a scientific experiment as possible. I'm optimistic that I'm going to have a little bit better range, but who knows? Let's see what happens. So you can see here, these are my T-Sportline wheels. I mean, they don't look bad. I don't love them. I know the first time Kyle saw the cars like that, you got to swap those immediately. Now the car charges like a beast. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to be putting up a separate video about the charging curve, which I am quite happy with, and I've replicated it now about 4 times. So I feel like I've dialed in what this car's normal charging curve should be. But today it's all about wheels and tires and efficiency. So that's what we're doing. All right, well, we've hit 80%. Time to unplug here. And, I go to the wrong spot to unplug. There we go. Plug it in over there. Flip-flap that in. And I say we start our 60-mile loop. This time, this is our first loop with this one is with the Tesla or the T-Sportline wheels. So, yeah, here we are at right off 95, just on the border of Stamford. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down south on 95, through the city, up to the Merritt, over into Greenwich by the White Plains Airport, and then up 684, come back roads, and then come right back to here. I don't know how long the loop's going to be, but whatever I do, I'm going to try to keep the same speed. I'm going to keep the same exact loop, and yeah, it should be good. Teslas, they pour in and out like water here. It's crazy. All right, so as we start off, oh, one thing I need to do, I almost forgot. I got to reset my trip odometer. Although I know that it gets reset after you recharge, but I want to have trip A and trip B. So one of the nice things about Tesla is that you can actually have lots of different trip odometers. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set that, and then we'll get going on our trip. So we're just finishing up the loop here on the first loop, heading back onto 95 now. And this nice person is definitely not going to let me in. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, perfect time to get out there and enjoy a beautiful drive in a gorgeous car. But we're all about the data. And so, you know, did not burn very much juice. We'll talk about the statistics. I kept the average speed down pretty low. Been gone for an hour and 39 minutes. So, you know, been a great ride though. But we're going to replicate this shortly. Before we do, what I need to do is I need to head home. I need to swap out these wheels and tires with the new wheels and tires, and then go back to the supercharger, charge back up to 80%, and go do the same exact loop. Then we can actually look at the data, summarize it, and see if there's any efficiency gains to be made with these new wheels and tires. We'll see. So, more to follow. Okay, so we're heading southbound on 95 and getting off here at the, I guess technically this is still Darien, but I consider it Stanford. This is right here. We'll capture the summary statistics and then head home, change the wheels and tires. There's only one car here just charging right now, a Model Y. So lots of room for Teslas. Let's go ahead and record the data. We're back where we started from. 1 hour, 42 minutes. We've got a total distance of 62 miles. We've burned 15 kilowatt hours worth of energy and an average energy consumption of 239 watt hours per mile. So, you know, pretty good efficiency, but again, I wasn't going that fast. So average speed's well under 60 miles an hour, probably 40 something miles an hour. I'll have to do the statistics and the calculations. But yeah, so good trip. really enjoyable. Time to go change the wheels and tires. What other statistics do I know? I'm in a 63% state of charge. So I burned roughly 17% of the battery from 80% down to 63%. And what else is there to say? What else? I think that's it. The key metric is going to be the average energy consumption, 239 watt hours per mile. Let's see if the same car, same conditions, the MW05s, are they going to give me any more efficiency? We'll see. Martian MW05s, all kidding aside, these things are gorgeous in gunmetal black or gunmetal gray. They're not black, which I love. I'm very happy. And I'm doing manual labor.
And you have an audience.
I do? All right. Well, these things happen from time to time. All right, it's time to put them on.
All right, let's do it.
So here's the new MW05 285 40 19, and here's the T-Sportline 285 35 20. But what's really interesting is if you come down and you look at this, at that angle, hopefully you can see it, but the MW05s, even with 19-inch wheels and 40 sidewalls, are definitely higher. So it's going to be interesting to see what this does from a circumference standpoint. These are, let me just check one more time, 285, where are you? 40 19s, yeah. So, I don't know, it's interesting. So I bought this 3-ton jack today, and I should have gotten a low profile. Unfortunately, they didn't have one. So I'll most likely return this. I had to get creative using the dip in the driveway here to be able to get the jack underneath there. But you know, I was able to do it, and I've already got one side done, this side over here, and you know, it's great. The sidewalls are much more rubber on them than what the T-Sportlines had. So I'm really excited to see how this does from an efficiency standpoint. But look standpoint, look, they're both beautiful wheels, don't get me wrong. Someone's going to really enjoy these T-Sportlines. They're awesome, and they got a lot of life left on them. So these are officially for sale. Most likely sell them locally here in Connecticut, just because they're expensive to ship and a pain to pack. Anyway, I got to get to work here. Although I don't have to admit this, I'm going to. On the last side, I put the 285 up front. I had to take it off. How embarrassing. I'm not going to make that same mistake here, though. Again, staggered wheels, 255s go in the front, Dave. Come on. Anyway, for those of you who want to see what it looks like on the inside of a Tesla wheel well, here you go. That's the front. And the rear, I'll do that one next. Well, T-Sportline, you've been good to me, but it's time to say goodbye. And we're gonna say hello to the Martian wheels. Please tell me this is a 285. 285. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're coming to the tail end. We're on changing tire 4 of 5. 5 because I messed up before. Very amateur, but you know what? I am an amateur, not professional. Here's the rear Tesla brake assembly, and pretty cool. So I'm a bit tired after installing 4 of these Martian wheels, but man, do they look beautiful. I'm loving them. But the real test now is efficiency, right? I just drove over here from my house to 95 Fairfield, actually in Darien and in Fairfield County in Connecticut. I'm going to set out, I'm going to charge it up to 80% now, and then I'm going to go on the exact same route that I did earlier today. It's a little bit later. Obviously, it's dark out now, but it's still about 58 degrees as opposed to 62 degrees. The battery is fresh and warm. I preconditioned it on the way over here, and everything should be good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this efficiency test. I can tell you already, the Martian wheels are smoother, quieter, and you know, that if that's indicative of how they're going to perform from an efficiency standpoint, I'm looking forward to the results of this test. So I'll check in with you in a bit. So anyway, you know, look, I ran a 62-mile loop originally on the T-Sportlines, and a different day now, because what happened was I ran the same loop, but I didn't really do it correctly. It wasn't the right time. It was a lot cooler out. So I've decided to put it off until today. And the temperature out is about the same. We don't have any wind. It's a beautiful day here in Stamford. Well, actually, we're in Darien, Connecticut. And I'm going to run the same exact 62-mile loop. I'm going to run it as close as I can. But look, this is not a scientific experiment, what I'm doing here. What this is just me going out. I've got some new wheels. I don't expect these to be giving me a lot of extra range, especially because the average speed on the first run that I did was less than 40 miles an hour. So I think, if anything, I'll probably find a little bit better results if I were to run at higher speeds. But look, I'm having fun doing this, just putting it together. We'll see how these Martian wheels they ride. I've been on them all week. I burned off a lot of the chemicals or the coating that you have on these. So I put a couple hundred miles on these tires. So I think I'm ready to run round 2. Today, I'm going to be going 62 miles loop, same exact loop as I did with the T-Sportlines, and we'll see what happens, and then we'll compare the results. But overall, I love these Martian wheels. I think I just sold another pair to this couple that was from Massachusetts. They're like, I like those wheels. All right, so I'm charged up to 80%, and this is a loud place here because it's a truck stop, basically, 95. They got it. All the guys stop here. But yeah, time to get in and go for a nice little ride. 62-mile loop. Let's get into it. Well, here we are driving south on Route 124. I believe I'm in South Salem, New York. Really pretty area here. And so far I am, let's see, I'm 42 miles into the trip with a total of 20 miles left, and on these wheels I'm at average energy consumption's been 251 watt hours per mile, and I'm trying to go as the same speed as I did when I did this last weekend with the T-Sportlines. So we'll see. Speed limit's 40, and I'm doing 42. Hopefully I won't get a ticket for saying that. But look, you know, I'm trying to keep it right around the speed limit, and yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I feel like this may be more efficient with these wheels. Now, they are 19s versus 20s, but what's interesting is when I put the two tires side by side, I think I showed this when I was changing them, the sidewall on the Michelins that are on the Martian wheels, they're quite a bit taller tires. So, you know, especially in the fronts. But when I was comparing the 285s in the rear with the 19s, they were 40s. A lot more rubber on these tires than the others. Now, a couple of reasons why the efficiency was actually quite good with the T-Sportlines is because, and this is just my thinking, you know, they have about, I don't know, at least 15,000 miles on them. The previous owner, my understanding is, you know, had the original tires and wheels and then upgraded to the T-Sportline turbines. And so, you know, they're going to be a little bit more worn down. But also with the 35 sidewall, the height of the tire really wasn't that much lower or smaller. Or I should say, the height of the tire, even though they were 20-inch wheels, was actually smaller than the 19s. So, and what's also interesting is the fan design on the T-Sportlines. Those wheels seem to have a little bit more of an aero effect, whereas these Martian wheels are quite open. Now, when I went to the website and I checked out the weight of the T-Sportlines that are made for the, the Model S, that are the 20-inch wheels, and those weigh, I think they were 31 pounds each. And the wheels, these Martian wheels, are, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 22 pounds each. Now, granted, they're both made of aluminum. They're both, I'm not sure if the T-Sportlines are forged, but my understanding is that these Martian wheels are, like a typical forged aluminum wheel, extremely high pressure, multi-million-dollar machine to bang these wheels out to make them, as opposed to just pouring molten aluminum into a cast that then sets. So my understanding is the incident rate of returns on these Martian wheels, because they're just so dense, they're so compressed. The aluminum is basically forged aluminum, and they really have a low incidence of returns. They don't tend to crack. If they do bend, my understanding is that you can actually heat them up in the right kind of shop. Not me, I wouldn't use like a butane lighter, like a Bic lighter or something, but you would take them into a shop and they could actually put them back into original condition, which is quite interesting. But listen, the weight difference, I think, is, to give credit to T-Sportline, those are 20-inch wheels. There's a lot more metal in them than what's on the 19s on these Martians. But it'll be interesting to see when you add it all up. And the other thing is that my average speed is quite low on this particular trip, that I'm doing here. What's going on here? Oh, this guy he's either home or making a delivery. I don't know which. Maybe both. But the speeds that I'm going on this are going to be averaging, around 37, 38 miles an hour on this entire trip. So, or somewhere right around there is what it'll end up being. So I wish I still had the energy to put those T-Sportlines back on and run an efficiency test at, let's say, 70 miles an hour or 75 miles an hour. But the honest truth is, I'm a little sore from changing those wheels and tires from the other day. So anyway, enough said. Here I am pulling into where am I going to go? South on 124. I wish that it was daytime here. You could have seen the leaves on the trees from last weekend were amazing. And we did have a massive storm that rolled through here last night. Major rain, major wind, but there's still absolutely spectacular, beautiful foliage here in New England. Now this guy's confused. Yeah, he is confused. Just pick whichever way you want to go, sir. You got a nice Prius Gen 2. Just give it the electricity. So here we go. So here we are in Stamford, Connecticut, High Ridge Road. As a matter of fact, I had lunch today at this taco place right over by the Rye Ridge Deli, and it was called the Taco Project. Apparently they've got these places over in Westchester County, and this is the first location that they've opened here in Stamford, and it's just south of the Merritt, right off of High Ridge Road. They had Mexican street corn, and I'm talking about like corn on the cob, Mexican style. It was awesome. And they had an amazing taco. I got a shrimp taco. I'm going to be going back there for sure. I loved it. It was great. Okay, so here we are back at the supercharger in Darien, Connecticut. I've gone 62 miles and an hour and 48 minutes. Now, one of the things that happened was right up on in Stamford, over by, there was an accident over by Tully Health Center, and just south of there. and there was a lot of traffic, and I sat in the traffic without moving for a good solid 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm pretty convinced that I would have been down here back at Darien at the supercharger at pretty much the same amount of time. I burned 14 kilowatt hours, and I think the last time it was 15. And in addition to that, the average energy consumption was 226 watt hours per mile, which, if I'm not mistaken, was 239 watt hours per mile with the T-Sportlines. So, you know, I definitely see these tires and wheels, this combination was without a doubt more efficient, but that's not the real story here. And also, I want to reiterate, this is not a pure scientific, you know, experiment. This is just me kind of goofing around. I'm happy with these. I'm very happy with the look of these Martian wheels. I'm happy that I've got a little bit higher sidewall on these Martian wheels, the tires that I bought, the Michelins, with the, you know, with the higher sidewall. And also, I think what's contributing to the more efficient wheels, or more efficient setup that I have here, is the fact that I'm only running 255s in the front versus 285 square stance. So staggered stance, definitely a better ride without a doubt. Probably most attributed without a doubt to the tires, the tire choice. It rides more quieter. What's the right way to say that? Than with these Continentals with the foam insulation that are in them. And look, you know, I think if you're really going after efficiency, these are probably not the wheels for you. But if you're looking for the look and all of that, that's great. Martian wheels are an open look. There's trade-offs with everything you do. They're a great wheel for giving your brake calipers a lot more air. So if you're going to track your car, it's possible that the Martian wheels would be a lot better for any kind of you know, where you're going to be using your brakes in a lot more in heated situations. You're definitely going to get a lot more airflow than you would with aero wheels with covers on them. But if you're looking for, probably the most efficient wheels are going to be those 19-inch aeros. Look what Kyle did recently. He took his Plaid out 70 miles an hour, and you know, the car is rated, I don't even think it's rated for maybe 379 or something like that. And I think he got, what did he get? 356? Somewhere in there. At 70 miles an hour with those 19-inch aero wheels directly from Tesla. So those are excellent, you know, for range. But if you want a little bit of a compromise and have a cool looking wheel, I'm super happy I went with the Martians. So thanks for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. I think it's time for me to get home and feed Bailey and take her out for a walk. I can't believe it's dark out. It's already 7:25 p.m. So have a good one. Catch you on the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.